So welcome everyone to the Youth Forum training. Thank you all for either being here with us, Sally and Emma, or those who are watching this later. Thank you for taking the time to watch through. So we had a really awesome training weekend a couple weekends ago now, where we got as many people as we could together on site, all together to get to know each other. And so we're going to give you the 3-day version in like 45 minutes. You don't have to play as many games and icebreakers, but we'll give you all the info. So we're really looking forward to having you guys there. So for anyone who's watching this or tuning in with us, thank you for giving your time and talents, because Youth Forum doesn't happen without a really amazing team of youth facilitators. And so that's where you come in. So before we get started, I would like to just go over some lingo that you're going to hear us use during the weekend of Youth Forum. And maybe Emma, maybe I'll put you on the spot and quiz you, and you can tell us like what different things mean, because I know a lot of these. Well, Sally, I don't know if you had youth at your church who've gone and come back, but if you know any, feel free to jump in. But so when you hear us talking about Youth Forum or any in communications or texts or emails, you will often just see us write YF for Youth Forum. So if you ever see YF, I feel confident that people will be able to figure that one out, but we often just type YF for Youth Forum. And then there's a younger group. So YF is anyone in grade, so what, Emma, do you want to tell us?
10 to age 19.
Yeah. So it's often, so it's like a lot of high school kids, but there's usually at least one group of those ones who are in first year, actually depending on how the ages go, it's all sometimes even second year university. So that's really cool. And then there's a younger group that's also meeting at the same time, which is called what, Emma?
Intermediates at conference. So
Perfect.
That's the like shortened version. They put an I with like an @ sign and a C, so IAC. And they're grade 7 to 9.
Yeah, awesome. So the reason that it's really important for us to know about the younger group is because we'll do some things together, or we will coordinate and do some things over in various spaces with them as the weekend goes along. But most importantly, we're sharing our space. So we're going to have one big common space that we're going to take turns. So when they're in there using it, our team will be broken off into smaller groups, and when our team is in the big space, their group will be somewhere else doing something else. So we're going to be crossing paths with the younger group, but we're not necessarily the same program. We're kind of just two programs at a parallel time. So sometimes we'll all be together in what we call large group, and so that's that space that I was just talking about. We call that large group. So when you're in large group, there's going to be two directors. So that's Grace and I this year. So Grace, wave. Grace is the one with the towel on her head. She is going to wear it the whole time at Youth Forum, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
and
I
so
was getting my purple hair staining on the furniture.
Oh. So we're going to have a whole planned program all for everybody. And so when you're in large group, your main goal is just to like rally your youth and make them excited, or make them calm, or make them sing, or help them feel part of the group. Or so you're just kind of doing a lot of that facilitating of large group. And so at that time, you keep your eye on your own youth, but you also you can reach out and talk to the other ones that you see and kind of just interact and be really engaged with whatever we're doing, because they follow the leader, right? If they see the facilitators all sitting back against the wall, right, you can see all the youth go try to find their spot on the wall. But when we push them to come out of their comfort zones and into the middle of the floor, right, that's when they get more engaged, because they see we're more engaged. And then when we're not in there, we're going to be broken out into smaller groups. So you're going to be having your own small group of approximately 10 teens. And so you and one other person, so you are a facilitator and you are with a co-facilitator. So you two have a group. It's kind of like being the camp counselor, and that's your cabin, right? You're the mama duck or the daddy duck and the parent duck, and they're your little ducklings for the week. So you're the one that helps them through small group activities that we call home group. So you guys will have, Emma, do you want to tell us about home group, like space-wise, what it's like, and activity-wise, kind of what some of the things you know about that?
Yeah, so like home group is like you each have your own little like room or area. I don't even know where they're going to be, but anyway, you get together with like your 2 facilitators and then like 9 or 10 other people.
Yeah.
And it's like the facilitators decorate it and it's like really like homey. So then like as a youth, like you're with a closer group, so you're like more open with those people, whereas in a large group, kind of like everyone. And there's like little games and activities that you do, and yeah, it's like a family at the end of the week.
Aww,
Weekend.
so fun.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so for facilitating sake, you're going to be given a manual. So we have everything you have to do. So it would be like Thursday, home group, number 1, 5 o'clock. This is the activities, and it has a description for you. So you can just read the manual and take a glance ahead of time of what you're going to do. And we have the activities broken out. So you don't actually have to know too much of what you have to do, but we'll be sending that out a few days ahead of time, probably, hopefully a week ahead of time. We just need to put some finishing touches on it so that you guys can all read through that ahead of time, and then folks have a chance to, you know, get your head around it for those who like to prepare that kind of stuff. And you'll notice Emma said you can decorate your space. So you'll have basically in dorm room, and you know, in dorms there's often common rooms or bigger dorms. So we have some of those bigger spaces. So you actually can bring decorations. So, you know, like a scarf and some, you know, fancy rocks or prayer beads or
Battery operated candles, snacks, etc., etc.
yeah. So you're certainly welcome to bring whatever you want for your little group. Like I always bring embroidery floss so I can make them little friendship bracelets, treats, candies, whatever. So feel free to do that kind of stuff. So far, so good. Did that all make sense?
I'm just going to point out that we're going to breeze through the stuff, like especially from the manual, but we're going to send it out early. So, and we have a staff meeting before any of this starts. So if there's any like pressing questions that you don't get to us like ahead of time, we can address it there. And we have staff meetings usually in the evening while we're at Youth Forum. So we usually try to prep you and give you opportunity to ask any questions throughout the event.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Katie, I don't know if you're there, but we see that you've joined us. Hi.
Ah!
Yay! Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
joining with Katie.
Yeah. I think my computer froze.
Oh.
It froze, but you were so happy it froze like this. Yeah. So, do we have Katie and Danny together?
Yeah.
Hello.
Awesome. Yay. Sorry I sent the link out so late. My life went a little crazy today.
That's okay.
There.
Awesome. Okay, so we were just we're recording this, so I'll be able to send you can catch the first little bit, but we're just kind of going over a little bit about the program for Youth Forum and then a little bit of the setup of what the whole thing is all about. So I hear that you guys have done lots of you folks have done lots of different youth events and stuff, so I feel like this will probably not be too different from other, you know, facilitating gigs. But yeah, so you're gonna each be facilitating with a partner, and so you're gonna be in charge of a small group of youth as the weekend goes along, and then sometimes you'll be with your group and sometimes we'll be in the large group kind of just going along with the crowd. So that's the Coles notes. Yeah. So Grace was just saying on the Thursday morning, so everyone is welcome to come. So the event starts on Thursday, and we need all of the facilitators to be there at 9 in the morning because we're going to start fresh that morning with a staff meeting. So you all get to choose if you want to come. People can drive that morning or arrive, however you're getting there. Or also people are welcome to come the Wednesday night ahead of time.
Okay.
So especially, yeah, when do you folks fly in from Newfoundland?
Hold on. See if I can get it.
Okay. So while you're just checking on that, suggest if you can come Wednesday night, especially for folks who haven't been able to be there for the training weekend. It's a really good idea to come, get settled, get to know everybody, you know, ask any questions, kind of, you know, just get organized kind of thing. And so people kind of trickle in, you know, whether you're done work, if you're working that day or whatever. So anytime kind of after 5 o'clock, would you say, Grace?
Yeah, we usually have a supper somewhere at 6, but not that's just kind of, it's not
Unofficial.
Yeah, it's unofficial. And then we kind of get together and start working on stuff around 7, but I've gotten there at like 10 o'clock the night before and, you know, just jumped in when everybody was socializing. Totally no schedule, just come when you can.
Mm-hmm. We'll have lots of jobs at all times, so.
We arrive 15:43 on the 22nd. So I think that's what, 3 o'clock?
15.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. I don't know the 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
If you guys are planning to come, I'm just thinking we should double check with Lauren, because I know she had to confirm things with Mount A on Friday. So if you just want to double check with her to make sure that I'm sure there's accommodations that we can get you. Just double check with her, make sure.
For Wednesday night?
Yeah, because she said, remember, I think she sent the email out and asked for Friday, but I mean, Friday, Monday, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just let her know. I'm sure she would have known that they wouldn't be flying in.
Yeah, I didn't get the final list. I think Lisa had it, so I just wanted to double check. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
I'll write that down.
So I'm hoping that means we're all they know what's happening with us.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And I assume Sally's in that as well, because you're coming from Newfoundland. Is that correct?
Sally's coming from PEI.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. I'm
Sorry.
coming from PEI, and I'm not sure what time I'll be there Wednesday night, but I kind of don't want to leave home too early since I'm going to be away for so long.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'll probably leave here maybe 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's about a little over an hour.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just double check with Lauren on them.
Emma, are you coming Wednesday?
Yeah, I told Lisa that was the plan.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so then Thursday when we arrive, Grace, do you want to? So, by the way, sorry, Katie and Danny. So, my name is Charlotte, and Grace is right there, waving with the blue shirt on. And so, we are the co-directors for this year. So, that means there are lots of people in place in lots of different positions who made this all happen. We're just the program piece of the puzzle. So, our job is just to help all of the facilitators run through the program and know what to do. And as we go through this tonight, if you folks have any suggestions or have anything that you think like, whoa, you can't do that, feel free to let us know. We are still actively taking feedback. So we've got some good tips and tricks from presenting it already to the other facilitators. Then we got some good feedback from them. So yeah. So Grace, do you want to walk us through what happens on Thursday morning? Just kind of like a breeze through from when our meeting starts straight through to like when the youth arrive?
Yep, sure. So we get everybody to arrive at about 9 o'clock, and by about I mean at 9 o'clock. We like to start right at 9 to make sure we can cover everything. We do have a couple guest speakers that come in and do like the safety stuff about working with youth, and Lauren King comes in and does a little chat too about gender stuff. And at 10:30 we are going to do setting up your home group spaces. So for the ones that may have missed it, we have the large group and the home group. The large group is when everyone's together, and the home group is when you're divvied up into your smaller groups of 9 to 10 teens at a time. And we just give you some time to decorate that space and get it ready so that you're comfy there. We also get some people to go around the town and put up welcome signs and get the registration set up and those kinds of things. So between 9 and 12, that's what happens. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover in that time. So we need you there, coffee, drink, head on straight, all those things, because it'll be coming fast and furious, and it'll be exciting and awesome because once everybody's in the same room, it's really, really an awesome experience, but lots of stuff to cover. We do Subway. We get that brought in ahead of time, and if you haven't got your order in, I'll make sure to touch base, or Lisa to touch base, our facilities person who organizes that. But your lunch is covered for that Thursday before the youth come. So
did Lisa reach out to everybody about getting a Subway order?
I'm seeing a yes from Emma. Sally, what about you? Yes, okay. And Danny, and yep, perfect. So I don't have to
Very important information. This is like probably one of the most important pieces of the weekend. Subway.
So yeah, that's at 12, and then between 12 and 1 we do any finalized pieces, and then at 1 the kids start coming, and sometimes they start arriving at 12:30. So we set the registration up and we start welcoming kids in. We have some people outside playing games and doing sidewalk chalk, those kinds of things. We have people doing sports and games. We have another group of people who are helping the kids carry their baggage up to their rooms and getting them settled in. And that happens from 1 until about 3, and 3 is when we start our first large group. Do you want me just to keep going, Shar, or just stop there? You said
Sure.
before.
Should we just breeze right through?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
So large group, again, is when everybody comes together for the first one, and the first one's always big and exciting. The kids have lots of energy. They're very chatty. It's awesome. It'll be the first time that you see everybody in one space, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, but it's so happy. It's so wonderful. So we usually just do some sing-songs and introduce everybody at this first one. So we'll get to, like I said, sing some songs, and then we introduce each of the facilitators and each of the planning team, so everybody knows who's who. And then from there, we go into our first home group. And our first home group is when you, again, bring your 10 youth into your home group space, and that's where you'll get to do some get-to-know-you stuff with them, get to know them better, develop your group norms as a smaller group. And that brings us to supper on the first day. So after supper, supper is the first time that we go to the meal hall. So we'll explain where that is and stuff, but basically at Mount Allison, we go to where the students eat, and we all go in at 5, sometimes we go in at 4:50 to save some time on the line. But typically the IAC and youth forum kids go first, and then the rest of the delegates that are there on site go after us. It's a really busy spot, but they always have 2 lines, and they always have, if you have any dietary stuff, they have a separate place right along the side there for people to go. And at 6, we go back to the large group space, and we do our first large group, where we're going to introduce our theme. And our theme is going to be Wonderfully Made, which is being your best self. And Shar, do you want to talk about that's the first large group that we have activities, and the song that
Sure. I totally don't have that open and don't have that memorized. We're going to be talking about the theme. So I'm prepared to give training tonight. So we are doing the theme Wonderfully Made, but also so really talking with the youth all weekend about, okay, sure, yes, like you are a wonderful person, and God thought the world needed one of you, and you're perfect the way you are, but also how do you take that and run with it? Like, how do you make the choice every day to be the best version of yourself, right? Like, how do you show up for your friends, for your family, for your peers, for the world? What choices do you want to make, and how do you want to just be the best version of yourself that you can be? So we're really looking to have fun, light, inspiring conversations with folks. So one of the things that some of the facilitators were worried about when we first brought this up at the training weekend was that they're going to just instantly spiral to all the bad things that they've done and how they're not the best version of themselves at all times and all of this. And so Grace and I feel like we've worked really hard to make sure that the program doesn't go down that alley, especially right away, especially in the large group space, right? Just how wonderful we are, and that we get to make these choices, and that we get to be a light in the world, and a lot of that kind of language, so that your follow-up discussions in your home group, you'll kind of they'll hopefully be in the mindset to take those conversations and really, you know, it be an empowering, fun, inspiring theme for the weekend. My computer is totally freezing. Okay. La-di-da-di-da. So, Grace, why don't you tell us what the first large group is?
That was the large group. This song, we're bringing in one of the songs that our music team wrote, 15 years ago or something, called "Who Are You?" But we sang it at training weekend, and it really does highlight a lot of things about our team. So, if you'd like to hear it beforehand, I think it's on YouTube, and if it's not, and you'd like to read the lyrics, let us know and we can send them to you. But we will be singing it over and over again throughout the weekend. From that large group, we go right into the next home group, which again, we're just going to kind of cover some more best self stuff, but in a more intimate environment. So it's very similar. We'll be doing a lot of talking at the large group and then letting the kids talk in the home group and opening up a little bit about that. After that, we are doing a board game cafe with the kids the Thursday evening. So we've asked all the facilitators to bring a game or two. So if you have some board games that you could bring, that would be great, or card games or whatever. We've asked each facilitating pair to at least bring 2 games. And so far we're doing quite well, but we always like to have extra. Just do your best to label them somewhere so that we can return them to you afterwards. After the board game cafe, we go into the home groups again to do a check-in. So that's apples and onions. We just check in about the day, just seeing, you know, what their favorite parts, what their least favorite parts were, if they had any big things come up they needed to check in about. And that's basically the wrap up for the first day. 10 o'clock, we like to send them up to the dorms to brush their teeth, get ready for bed, and then we do a lights out check at 11. That is the first day. Pretty much. Any questions, comments, issues? I know that was a lot all at once, but like I said, this will come to you in an outline manual, and each piece is outlined. So when you have check-in, it gives you examples of how to check in with the home groups. It explains to you what to cover, and usually it's pretty organic. Once you ask a question or two, the kids are really good to kind of discuss and keep things good. So.
Awesome. So the only thing that we need to note about the nighttime, kind of the logistics of facilitating, is that in general, we trust that all the good little angels go to bed and that they stay there and that they sleep all night and they don't do anything ruckus that night. But we will be having to assign people to pick a night that you're willing to stay up an extra couple hours and do a couple walkthroughs of the dorms and what we would call security. So if you're somebody who cannot function with that kind of lack of sleep, then you just have to let us know ahead of time so that we put some of our more night owl type people on those jobs, because we have certainly had, I mean, they're creative teenagers. They figure out things to do at night. So we do just kind of assign a couple people to do security throughout the night. So
I think we're still working on trying to find some people just to do security, but we haven't found anybody as of yet.
Yeah.
So
I will gladly stay up. I'm kind of a night owl.
awesome. I am writing that down. I am like, be careful what you volunteer for, because I will hold you to that, because that is awesome.
I'm the kind of person
Me
that
too.
10
I
hours.
suffer insomnia. I can do it.
Oh,
I can't function.
I need lots of sleep. I'm that person.
awesome. Okay. So the next day is really, really exciting. It has lots on the go. It's our first full day. So while we're doing our youth program, there's actually, so it's not the conference anymore. There's 2 regions. So Region 14 and Region 15 are doing their annual meeting at the same time. So there is adult stuff going over in the bigger conference center. So we get to go over there with them from time to time. So we have been invited to join them on the morning of Friday morning for their theme discussion. And it actually is, I don't know what their topic is called, I can't remember, but the theme of what we're going to listen to is very, very perfectly linked to the theme that we picked just by coincidence. So it's awesome. So we're going to be going, there's 2 speakers, and I don't remember what the second speaker in particular is telling about her story. But the first speaker, I actually heard her give her speech as a sermon at church a few weeks ago, and it was very powerful and very moving. So kind of the Coles notes on that would be, I think it's her, I don't know if it's cousin and cousin-in-law, but one man goes and is walking down somewhere in the States along a path and is basically somebody tries to rob him for his camera. And through whatever actions take place, he ends up getting killed. So it's really intense story. And so the part that she's going to be speaking on is how this person's passion was, you know, I think the justice system and really giving opportunities to people who were raised, you know, where they didn't have the opportunities that led them to go back into the justice system. And I know that I'm not doing a great job explaining it, but basically the family goes and advocates that they don't want this man thrown in jail for killing her husband, because she knows that that's just going to perpetuate the cycle, and that now his family would be raised without a dad there. And anyway, so it's a really powerful story about this family going and advocating even for the person who killed their own family member. And so, I mean, talk about getting really heavy on the second day about, like, you know, what are the choices that you want to make, and who do you want to be, and how do you want to, you know, how do you be the best version of yourself? Well, that's a pretty extreme example that, you know, for a lot of kids, they might not be able to relate to that because it's at such a worldly level, but also something really, really neat for them to think about, right? Like just putting themselves in that kind of perspective. So the second person, I can't remember exactly what their story is, but we're going to have follow-up time immediately after that. They're going to go back into their home groups with you to debrief all of it. So we're going to have time to do that. And at that time, we're also going to be doing an activity where they get to then jump right off of that into an activity. We're putting it back on themselves right away and talking about what are some of the things about being the best you are, like, who are you, right? I think that's the one, right? Where they have to write all the attributes about themselves.
I think that's after the TED Talk video in the afternoon.
Oh,
we just
okay.
did a check-in lunch, large group. We do some cooperative games.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're worried about things getting a little heavy. We just wanted to just space it out a little bit. So we do an activity with them just in the afternoon after lunch about that. Yep.
Yeah. So we just debrief and make sure nobody has any lingering questions, and then there's some good conversations and stuff that go right away. So as Grace just said, the first thing after lunch that day, we want to bring it back up to a lighter, happier, moving and grooving kind of feel for the day. So it's going to be a lot of, it's basically we have an hour to play. So we're going to do some music. We're going to kind of do like 45 minutes of like cooperative games like Human Knot, or, you know, now you do the Human Knot again, but somebody has to wear a blindfold and someone can't, you know, someone has to be the voice for the whole group. And so letting different people take different roles in the group and trying to discuss after, like, you know, what were your strengths in that situation? And, you know, just all kinds of those types of, you know, camp style cooperative teamwork games, just to get kids, you know, out of their comfort zone and see, you know, what skills are you using. And then we actually have the home groups, the large group space for 2 hours back to back. So we're going to do the first hours all playing. And then the second hour, we're going to be doing, as Grace said, we're going to be watching a TED Talk. And so it's by someone who had a dream and wanted to do this big thing. And we'll send this out so people can watch it ahead of time. Just going to write that down. Anyways, and so, but she really wanted to do it, and I think it's her dad that says, you know, really, you're going to do that thing? And how does the voice of one person shoot you down completely, that you have to rebuild your confidence, even though you know that's the best version of yourself, or that's the thing that you're meant to do? Sometimes we have these voices, or these actual physical, not just voices in our head, but people in our life that can, with their power of their words, you know, bring us down, right? So that's a good discussion on, you know, how is your faith going to play a part in, this is a very secular example that we're using, but so if you're called to be a Christian, like, how does that shape what you do and how you treat others, and, you know, the words that you use? So we're going to be talking a little bit about, like, what are some of those barriers in your life, right? Like, do you have barriers about your race or bullying or addiction or gender, or, you know, just kind of tying in what are some of those things that teens are facing and how do you push through that to get to be that best version of yourself. And so we're actually going to link the chaplains in on that particular one so that they can help kind of. Grace and I have a lot of really good ideas, but we're going to link the chaplains in a few times. I'm notorious for planning youth events and getting to the end and be like, damn it, I didn't do any scripture. Like, so more of the like lovey-dovey kind of stuff, and then they'll link in some stuff there for us. I mean, darn it. I won't swear at you tomorrow.
So after that, we do a home group, and that's where we're going to meet. It was really important for me and Shar to make sure that throughout this the whole event, that we were giving the teens a voice of their own and to make them feel really strong. And one thing we thought we could do right after that is to start helping them make some SMART goals. So I always forget the acronym. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. Thank you, Emma. So they are in regular life, like I see them a lot in business, but we're trying to make them really doable for this weekend and to be able to support them in a home group. So whether that's like making sure they brush their teeth every day, or making sure that they check in with somebody, you know, every day that weekend, whatever we can do to make sure that they are making themselves feel that they matter and that their goals matter, and that they have a team that can support doing that. That's hopefully going to help them and how they're going to make changes in their life and see that they can do them when they are obtainable like that. So in that SMART home group, we're going to debrief a little bit about the large group, the TED Talk, and what the chaplains will talk about, and then discuss how they can kind of overcome some of those mountains in their life by how they can do that through SMART goals. Then we have some unofficial free time. So we have free time on Friday and Saturday, but we're not putting it on their schedule, just so that, you know, if the home groups run a little long, the goal is to give them some free time, but not to like officially make it that, so that they're not running off doing whatever they do. So yeah, free time a little bit on Friday, then we go right into supper at 5, and then the next home group after that.
This is the one where they reflect on things about themselves, right? So, and it's so funny how hard it is for people to talk positively about themselves. If we sat down and asked people to make a list of, write down 10 things you don't like or that you would change about yourself, a lot of people could easily get that down, right? So we are going to really spend time getting people to think like, you know what, this is something I do and I am awesome, or, you know, I am kind, I am compassionate, I am community minded, or whatever those things are. Like, we need to teach them how to lift that up. So we are going to do an activity at that time where they have to start writing things down about themselves, which is really awesome. And that's going to be used later on. The words and the phrases that they come up with now is going to be used later on in the weekend for an art project. So this more that you can get them to write on paper now, the more time they'll have available to do their art project later, because they won't be trying to brainstorm things about themselves, right? When they're awkwardly trying to do art and also think about words. So right now, what you're actually doing is generating a brainstorm of things that they're going to be writing about themselves later for a really cool art project. And Sally, that's why I was asking earlier about your art background, because you're probably, hopefully, going to love we have an art project in there. So yeah, so we'll get into that later. That'll be in one of the home groups coming up.
And we do have a template that kind of gives them a little bit of structure into, give us some positive things about your social life, give us some positive things about your academic life, give us some positive things about your family life, give us some positive things about, you know, that way they're not just kind of looking at it like, where do I start? I think we're developing a template if we haven't already. Yeah, just to give them a little bit of structure on how to do that, so that when they get to the art project, they're not like, I don't know.
So as facilitators, you're going to probably have a lot of kids who go, well, I don't know, right? So how can you ask them like follow-up questions? Like someone says, well, like, well, I don't get good grades at school. So then how do you take that and help prompt them, right? So, okay, well, let's not talk about grades. Is there something you love doing at school? Is there something that makes you happy? Or is there someone that you've got to help at school, right? Like, so your job will then be to take that and draw it out of them, because a lot of them, especially anyone who might be shy about that, they might have trouble. So just really helping them kind of brainstorm. Is everybody okay with that? Thumbs up if you're good.
Benefit of having these small groups is that they can use each other too. So if they can't find anything, that hopefully somebody in their home group can find something.
Yeah.
So after that, Friday night is just going to be totally awesome. It's already awesome from start to finish, but we complete Friday night with Coffee House, which is where all the kids come together and showcase their gifts and skills. We have kids that do comedy, we have kids that do music, we have kids that do skits, and it is always a good time every time. At 9:30, we have Dancing in the Quad, which is where we go for meals, but basically we bring a speaker system out into the middle of all of the dorms, and the youth from IAC, from Youth Forum, and some of the delegates come out and we just dance. It's great. It is weather pending, but usually even if it's a little bit of rain, we still party through that. And then from there, we just go bed lights out. So that's Friday night. Any questions about Friday? Cool.
Awesome. Okay. So Saturday, we really want to talk about a lot of really cool things on Saturday, like, how do you be the best version of yourself, and a lot of self-care and all of the things that we need to do to build ourselves up. So in the morning, the first thing we're doing, actually, instead of going right into a large group or a home group, we're going to have a variety of activities, and we're going to ask them to either pick something that you love to do, right? Pick one of the things that you love to do as self-care, or pick one of these things that you love to do or that you would love to try. You've always wanted to try and you've never maybe pushed yourself to try. So some things that are going to be offered might be going for a run. The band will be kind of just set up. And so if people want to go in there and jam with them, they can. We're going to try to see if anybody can lead some yoga. We'll have a meditation station, a walk. There's a beautiful park on site, the Waterfowl Park it's called, and it's a short walk away. So it's like beautiful boardwalks through this lake marshland. So we'll have various facilitators set up to lead some of the bigger types of activities.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What?
I was going to say, if anybody's very passionate about leading an activity or something they'd like to share with the group, then we'd love you to let us know so that we can make sure that you have a space to do that. Like Charlotte said, one of the facilitators is really, really passionate about running, so we wanted to make sure that we had that included. We have another one that's really passionate about meditation, so that's included. But if there's something very specific to you that you'd like to do, then we'd love to showcase that and offer you some space to lead that.
We can paint.
Hey! I was hoping you're going to say that.
I figured.
Awesome.
Perfect. Okay, Sally, I'm going to follow up with you afterwards to find out what we need to make that happen and what supplies we would need and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, sure thing.
Does anyone else have any cool things that they might want to? Don't feel like we have lots. Don't feel like you need to, but if you have a cool thing that you do and you want to share, then let us know. Okay, cool. If you
go ahead. Do you want to do the testimonial thing, or do you want me to?
Yeah, okay, sure. So then after we get back from the big activity, we're going to have large group right away. And so we're actually going to have a variety of stations at this point. And so I really want to tie in our faith to, so many kids, I know when I was a teenager for sure, I thought church was church and youth group was youth group and life was life, right? And yes, I have learned to be a good person and that's how I navigate through my life. But it wasn't until I was 20-something that somebody said to me, a lot of people go into ministry later in life, as we often see. And she said, well, I was a teacher and a principal for the first 25 years, and I felt like I was doing ministry all along. So even though she was a minister or a teacher in a public school setting, that was her ministry to the world, right? So she felt the same way she does about ministering in a church, that her same mindset to leading public school. And so, you know, there are people out there who do what they do, even though it might seem to their friends and to the community to be a secular job, right? But you are doing it because of your faith, or it's led with your heart because of your faith, or, you know, what God is kind of giving you the nudge to do. So we have some really cool speakers lined up. And the thing that I love about it is that they're all in-house people. Like, they're all facilitators or people that are on the planning team who are going to be leading some of these discussions. So some of the things that we have already, you know, a music teacher, we have somebody doing one, a paramedic, right? So how can your life in the health industry be your way of giving back to the world? And a variety of things, sports, some gender identity work, some, I don't think this is the updated list, but anyways, we kind of asked around. Oh, one is a biology professor at UPEI. So talking about that science and faith intermingling, and just some really cool discussions that people will be able to hear. So we want to offer, if there's anyone, you don't have to say right now, but if you do want to, if you have something cool that you've been able to go on and work with, and want to talk about, then you're certainly welcome. We still need a few more spots filled. So, you know, what is it that you do in your day-to-day life? And how is that really, when you stop and think about it, how is that backed by, you know, your Christian background, or, you know, your belief in your faith kind of pushing you to do that? So is there anyone right now that on the top of their head has something that they want to put up as a station? And I also don't need to put you on the spot. You can text us after, email. Cool. So we're going to rotate people. Not every youth is going to be in every group. So we're either going to just number them and send them around the room, and you get who you get, and you get a variety, or we might let them kind of go to the one that they want. But either way, they're going to have a chance to hear 3 or 4 different people. So those people are only expected to talk for about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we'll just say, like, we'll let the kids guide the conversation with some questions and stuff. So thumbs up. Is that good? Make sense? Cool. Awesome. So then we just send them back to do a debrief. And I don't know where I'm looking at here. I think I told you the wrong home group earlier. The one about writing all those words, that's now. So I don't know what I missed earlier, but don't worry. We're totally organized. We'll figure it out. And so after lunch that day is what we're going to call, has anybody ever done prayer stations before? I think that's a pretty popular group for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Okay. Danny, have you ever done prayer stations? Okay. So what we do basically is set up all around the room a variety of little activities. So it's a chance for the youth to walk around and pick little prayer stations where it might be, you know, making prayer beads. It might be coloring mandalas. It might be, you know, some sort of activity. I'm doing it really, okay. So there's a variety of things. So we've done that a lot. We've done that year to year. It gets highly requested. So if we don't do it every year, we at least do it every 2 years. And so we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we're just going to basically call it self-care stations, because being the best version of yourself and being wonderfully made, you have to really nurture that sometimes. So we're not only doing prayer stations, but we're going to put a twist on them and call them self-care stations, so that you can walk around the room and find little things that are going to give you time to either quietly reflect, do some prayerful consideration, maybe do, you know, just giving yourself a minute to think, or just giving yourself a minute to color, or whatever it is. That's all recharging our own batteries, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. So this is our chance to refill our own cups. So basically they're just prayer stations, but we're calling them self-care stations. So we're going to just try to focus on some that are, you know, something about self-improvement or quiet time, something that they can get to really recharge. So we have asked that everyone who is coming, we're going to be giving you your co-facilitators if you don't know yet who you're with. And so you and your co-facilitator, we're crowdsourcing. And if you need ideas, you can go, if you Google prayer stations, there's like tons of ideas. So we're asking each co-facilitator pair, so you and your partner, to provide us with one idea. So you come up with the idea and write up the description and send it to us. And then if you need supplies, then you just let us know. So if you have supplies and you want to bring it, like game on, awesome, just let us know. Or if your station needs, you know, can you print out these pictures and, oh, we're going to need markers. Well, we can do that. You just have to tell us what you need. Is that okay? Okay. So don't let us forget, at the end, we'll tell you who your co-facilitators are. All right. Do you want to do the self-portraits, Grace?
That's just where the art project, correct?
Yeah. Do you want to do that, or do you want me to?
Well, basically, I mean, it's pretty simple, I think. Shar found some pretty cool, I'm going to show you then. Basically, this is where we're going to use all of those words that we help the kids develop and do the art project where they use food coloring and shaving cream, and they draw like an outline of themselves and they put the words around them. And that's what they look like. We did them at training weekend, and they appeared on the Facebook group. You probably saw some of the ones that were developed. So yeah, they're pretty cool. They're just meant to be colorful, wonderful reminders for them to take home that they have all these positive things about them. Yeah.
So this is a really fun but very messy activity. So I want to show you, you're going to have to be the ones like guiding your youth to be really making sure that they draw, like everyone's going to get a black Sharpie basically. So I just want to show you, especially anyone with long hair, it makes it easier. The more the outline, the easier to keep the shaving cream in the middle, right? Because anyone with long hair or whatever, that's fine, that's easy. And so anyone who doesn't, we just have to make sure that a lot of people were just drawing, but you need to like put really thick lines around the outside, right? So some of them did wonderful artwork, but we need to make sure they have really like thick, bold black lines, which sounds like a tedious thing, but this is way too much to describe like by writing it out in your manual. So just remember, so like this person had drawn it, and at first you could hardly see their little black line. So I made him go back and do it like 3 times over. So this was a thicker outline, you know what I mean? And so the guys can draw their facial hair, or whoever has facial hair can draw their facial hair. And so you're gonna be doing, it's really a fun activity. So you get, each person gets a piece of wax paper, and then you squirt like you're gonna feel like you need a lot. You don't need a lot. So you squirt some shaving cream on your wax paper. Are you excited yet? Are you on the edge of your seats? Okay, and then you put food coloring on, and you take a popsicle stick and you kind of swirl it around. And so the trick is, right, you're going to have 10 people all doing this. You're going to be kind of facilitating, making sure they get it in the right spot. You have to try to make sure that it stays inside the face. So you're going to be like then putting that face on and letting it sit in for a second, and that when you lift it up and wipe off the shaving cream, all the excess, it leaves the swirly colors. Am I getting it in the right spot?
Yeah.
So it actually looks really cool. Yeah. And they will not all get it in the lines, and some of them will look like this.
And that is okay, because we don't have to color inside the lines.
Only thing they're not allowed to do, which some of the facilitators thought from the description of what we were doing, so we're going to have it written out for you. You're going to read it to them. Some people thought that they had to like put their face in the shaving cream. That is the only thing that we really don't want you to do. We're poo-pooing on that kind of creativity.
Face for a long time.
And then the other thing to note is that, you know, to me, it's obvious, but to your youth or to you, it may not be obvious. Like if you put all 4 colors and you blend it all together completely, it's just going to be brown, right? It's not going to give you that, woo, that was so cool and funky swirl. You're going to get a big blob, which is awesome. Maybe that's what they want to do, but probably that's not what they meant to do. So like some people would just do red and blue so that when they do mix, you get a little purple in there, right? So, you know, you can kind of help just remind them, like, remember when we were in elementary school and we learned that mixing all the color of paint together makes brown. If they're trying to get really cool patterns, just don't over mix it, like leave it so it looks kind of swirly. Okay, official terminology, swirly. Got it? Super easy activity to describe too, right? Okay. Well, I'm very excited. And so then we're going to get you to like lay them out and take pictures of them. So I would love to collaborate like a mural with all of these, like one picture with all of them on it would be amazing. So after that, Grace, you want to take it away?
We are doing another activity, but we're doing it in a large group, and it is something that we encouraged the facilitators to do at training, and some of them did. If you've seen them, that's awesome. If you haven't, ask us and we'll make sure you do see them. But basically, we're trying to get them to develop a post. They don't have to post it if they don't want to, but develop a post that's very positive about themselves. So a couple months ago, Shar found a post about this girl, and we don't want to use that post to highlight this activity, so that's why we all did them by ourselves. But it was about a girl that had lost weight, but instead of focusing on the weight, she focused on all the things that she learned about herself in that sorry, my brain's fried right now. She highlighted all the wonderful things that she had learned through that process. That's what I was trying to say. So we all we just used one picture of ourselves, not a before and after, but just a picture of ourselves that we got to highlight, hey, I am not these things and I am these things. And in the Facebook group, we did post some of those things. I'm just going to go over a few of them.
So here's my post that I made from an example.
Oh, there you go. Oh, you took away my screen.
You can still see your screen. Minimize Zoom.
I don't know how to do that.
If you click on it, you should be able to get it down to a smaller screen. I'll just close out of this. Anyways, so they're all gonna end up writing I am not, and then say what they're not, and then I am and say what they are. So they don't have to post them, like Grace said. If they only feel comfortable like texting it to themselves at least, or emailing it to themselves. So during this activity, we want you to bring, if you brought an iPad with you, if you have your laptop with you, so that if you're okay letting youth who don't have phones, because there will be people who don't have phones, to share that, right? So, but we want to use a few examples. We got a few people to do them ahead of time so that we can say like, hey, look, like people want to uplift and praise each other. Like, look at all the positive feedback that comes when you know, show your true self to the world and that kind of thing. So.
And so some of the things we came up as a group for I am not, it was I am not my grades, I'm not my challenges, I'm not my confidence or insecurities, I'm not my physical abilities, I'm not my size, I'm not my choices, I'm not my Facebook followers, I'm not my imperfections, I'm not who I used to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And some of the I am language that we came up with is I am loved by God, I am love, and I am loved. I am made in God's image, the image of the Spirit. I am wonderfully made. I am stronger than I was yesterday. I am always growing. I am learning, trying, living day to day. I am the best person I can be at this time. I'm living my best life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, just wanted to highlight those awesome, awesome things about themselves. And we will be providing these lists. So if they get stuck on anything, that they do have some sort of a template, and they can choose which of those things that they are. But they are awesome. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about that one. Oh, we're going to have one thing that we will have throughout the entire weekend is one of the guys that is in the music team. He's really, really an awesome large group speaker. So we will be pulling him in a little bit, and he felt called to talk a little bit about this and how social media is so easy to be dragged down in the negative, and that this is really an opportunity for them to not only post something positive, but if they get any negative feedback from that positive post, to be able to say, well, this is who I am, and this is like an awesome thing, and just to combat some of that feedback. So we're going to let him be able to discuss a little bit in that space, and we're really excited about that. He had a lot of good comments that I just can't remember right at the time, but at training weekend that really really encouraged us to let him do a little bit of talking during this space.
He has a great story. So he has a bit of a lisp, and he talks about how when he was younger, he had to learn, well, if someone's going to make, like, he said people will start talking with a lisp when you're talking to them, or will make fun of it a little bit. And it was always just his asshole detector, right? And so, putting that back on them, right? That is on them, not you, right? That is you seeing what kind of person they are bringing to the world, right? Like, that is them deciding how they want to be.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're almost done here.
Yeah.
Then we go to worship all with the larger group. So all that big conference that's going on with all the adults and the IAC, we all go over and we do a big worship service together, which is super awesome. We will have time available to plan for that, and that's fine. We don't have to know anything about that other than show up, be happy, be awesome. Then we come back right away and have a worship service for ourselves. And so we do communion together, and the chaplains do a beautiful service for us. The music team is there. And Grace is going to get us to do a really cool activity about hand washing. You want to just quickly do that? That's the only thing else for this whole day I think we need to know.
Well, we're still, it's derived from the agape, kind of where you do this activity in service of others. It's to remind you that you are loving in service of others. And we did it at facilitating training. I've done it a couple different ways. Usually do feet washing, but I feel like hand washing, it creates that intimate space without making anybody feel weird. And it also gives the opportunity for us to, we perform it on each other. So it's not just two people washing all the hands of the group. It really gives the opportunity to, pass it off to the next person and to have that intimate experience with the next person. So we will have the chaplains roped in for that, and to explain a little bit better. There's a couple Bible verses that we'll go over, and again, it's just to really emphasize that we are in service of others through love and wonderfulness.
Yeah, cool. Saturday night is often a little bit later. Meh. We're going to have a couple people who want to say, like, hey, I'm a facilitator with lots of energy left. Like, I don't mind being the one who stays up till 1 o'clock, so that there's an area where they can stay up late, right? Instead of them being all over kind of roaming, to be like, hey, dudes, if anybody is still awake, like, this is where we're hanging out. So we'll take volunteers for that as the week goes along. And then Sunday, we just have like one last home group, one last large group, and then we all go to conference where we have the worship service with everyone, and it's really beautiful. If you've been there before, Emma, it's really nice, isn't it? So there are lots of us that really love that. And then after that, we have to sign them all out. So we go back to our dorms, and you'll have a list, and you have to collect their keys and their name tags, and then sign out that that they have left and they have not disappeared into the abyss. That they have left with someone they were supposed to leave with. So
occasionally you will have a kid that checks themselves out because they drove. Normally there is somebody coming to pick them up, but just in case that happens, don't freak out. Just get them to sign themselves out and explain, we drove ourselves, and that's fine.
Yeah. Our main goal is just not to have a parent show up and go, I don't know who your kid left with. We're not sure. That's like the only real goal for Sunday.
Yeah.
You want your kid? I'm so sorry, we don't have your kid. So the only thing after that is then sometimes facilitators think they like, oh, woohoo, yay, like it's lunchtime, I'm out of here. But we have to stay and all clean up together, and then we do one last like team meeting kind of thing, like a staff meeting where we do a quick check-in with everybody. So if you are driving youth home, or if you are carpooling with folks, just kind of let them know. We're usually done and out of there by like 1:30ish, I think, maybe 2. So like just as we have to clean everything up and work together to get it all put away in a timely manner. Cool. Everyone likes helping out? I take silence as volunteers for helping. So yeah, so that's it really. Yeah, so chaplains are on site. So this is kind of the non-programming stuff. Chaplains are on site at all times. There's 2 of them. So they're just kind of floating around. They can loop in and out of your home groups. If you at any time have discussions that are above and beyond the means of your role, then we just loop them in, right? So if there's discussions that you feel like you need extra support for, we just loop them in, and then they either do that with you or take over, or oftentimes their minister might be down in the regional meeting or whatever. Like they are here to support you because yeah, teens are awesome and powerful beings, but they have a lot of stuff these days, like a lot of kids with extra stuff they want to talk about. So we have a lot of support for that.
And we do at this point still have a float person. So if you have a group, I don't think we've assigned her yet. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, we haven't.
So unless we have a group that has specifically high needs, then we will be using her as a float and being able to put her in different places at different times. So you can just let us know if there's something that came up, or you find that you have a group with high needs, that we can make sure that she pops by and gives you some extra support. She's been there for a few years. She is a nurse, so she has lots of training and extras. So she's agreed to help us in that position on top of the chaplains this year. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Everyone's excited?
Feedback? No?
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. If you're watching this by recording, thank you for watching the recording. We will see you soon.